Hey guys, back out in the shop again today. Today we are going to be working on the Frankenstein build, the 64 Impala rotisserie build. While we took a few days off to work on our office and getting it all finished up, still not finished up, but we've been working at it. Some parts came in for this build. The trunk pan and the trunk shelf panel. So that's what we're going to start on today. We're actually going to set up the tripod and try to get this trunk shelf panel knocked out. So let's get at it, guys. All right, guys. Here is our trunk shelf panel. We got the box all opened up so you can take a look at it here. This is where the body mounts go. This is the corner pieces that go there. In the corners like that come in the box. They come with all the frame pieces that so you can bolt your body down to your frame. It's a nice quality piece. Yeah, so I'll usually take a look at it, see about how big it is, you know, see where I need to cut out on the old one, kind of get a good glance at it, and then we'll go over here to the old one, and I'll cut it out using my Sawzall and air hammer. But anyway, I'll cut it out just a little bit on this side of where it needs to be. So I'll cut it out a little bit smaller than it needs to be. And then I'll come back with my air hammer and I'll etch out those pieces, everything else that's left. I'll kind of notch those out or beat them out with that air hammer, and then I'll grind my surfaces flat so to be ready for the new panel. So let's set this tripod up and start cutting on this thing. Alright guys, so before I actually take the panel out, I kind of wanted to give you a better idea how I did it. I used my air hammer with the punch on it, knocked a hole in here, just on this side of the, you know, where it meets up here with the floor pan. I made a cut all the way down, stopped before it got to the wheel well. I came back up here, I punched it again, and I ran my cut this way, all the way up, ran it down, and now I'm down to here. So it's almost out, but I just wanted to give you guys a little bit better idea of how I'm doing it. So let's set this tripod back up, and I'll finish cutting this out, and we'll come back and let you guys take a look at it. All right, there you have it. Trunk shelf panel out. The old one, it was rough. Didn't even have to cut it up one side, it just rusted in two. I'll have to make a few patches in here on these wheelhouses, but otherwise these wheelhouses are in really good shape. I'll go back with my air gun, my air hammer, and I'll easily chip away this crap and the old flange here that's still stuck on. You can kind of see this one's peeled back a little bit, but I'll just start there and work my air hammer up and chip the rest of that out, and I'll do the same all the way around. And then after we get it all chipped out, we will get it ground up and ready to weld the new one in. Thanks for watching, guys. Alright guys, we started peeling away a little bit of that stuff with our air hammer. And I just want to get in here and show you, we got all this corner all knocked out, and now you can kind of see those panels that come in the box with the big panel. It kind of goes like this here, up in there, you know, for your gas fill tube to go through. So that's where they go. And the other one goes on the other side, but obviously these ones were completely rusted away. You can see somebody has made a patch at one time up in here. That's not factory there. Somebody tried to patch it from the top side. Probably lasted a lot of years, but without any corrosion protection or anything on the back side of their patch, you can see it was just a breeding ground for rust. But so it probably accelerated the, you know, the rusting of this. But that's all right. We're here and we're going to do it right now. So let's set this tripod back up and I'll chip away the rest of this stuff here, and we'll be back to show you how we're going to put this panel in. Alright guys, this is where we've made it to so far. We got about, well, if you see here, this lip is still on there. It's still attached. It's a double lip right here. I've just been peeling it away. It's pinch welds. The easiest way I've found to do this is the way I've been doing it, and that's cut it with the Sawzall and air hammer it apart instead of chasing those pinch welds. If we damage the flange behind it a little bit, we'll just go back and repair that and get it ready for the new panel. That is no big deal. Let's see. We still got to continue getting this flange off of here though. We don't want that double on there, so we'll pick away the rest of this. And then down here in this corner, we still got to get out the rest of this. After we get that, hopefully we can test fit that new panel, see what it looks like in here. So let's set the tripod back up. Alright guys, we got everything ground that we need to grind for now. I'm going to go ahead and test fit the panel, make sure we got a good panel, everything's going to look good in there. And then I'll pull it back out and I'll fix all this stuff that we busted up with the air hammer. I'll cut a little bit of a new flange for this here on down to there. It was being a little bit of a butt, so we're just going to cut it off, put a new flange on it, weld it all up, and then we won't have to worry about it since we're going to be cutting all this and making all new flanges for this. This wheelhouse is pretty gone, this lower section, but we're not going to go into replacing the whole thing because the rest of it's good. So I'm just going to make a template of this here and patch in a piece, and the same with this one up here. I'll make a template and patch those in, and then we'll actually be ready to weld that other panel in once I get all that done. But till then, let's test this panel and make sure we got the right one. I'll be back. Alright guys, the panel is in. It actually went in very nice. This is just a test fit so we can get a good look at everything. You can see where I've got to make those patches in the wheel well a little bit there, but everything looks really nice. Everything's lining up good, nice and even all the way around. We're gonna pull this out of here and go ahead and make all those patches and get it all ready to accept this panel. And I'm not gonna film a lot of that because it's just tedious, boring sheet metal work, but I'll definitely be back to show you guys the result before we actually put the panel in. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll be back. All right, we are back. We have been working on cutting out our wheelhouse, our rusty wheelhouse here. Instead of replacing the whole thing, I'm just going to repair the little spots that are rotted with some new 18 gauge steel. You can see there's my old piece, and how I did this, I just took this piece here and I laid it on a piece of flat stock steel, and then I traced it out with a magic marker and cut it out with my cutoff wheel. And after that, I laid it over here on the wheelhouse, and that's where we're at. So that's my first one. Now from here you can see it's still rotted back this way. So I'll go ahead and tack this one in, and then I'll cut this out and bend and form a new piece for here. And then I'll just keep doing that. I'll work my way, you know, around this little lip here. I'll repair this rusted piece here, and then I'll go to the other side, repair it, and once I've got all this repaired all the way around, it'll be ready for our new trunk shelf panel. If you guys are learning anything, if you have any comments, questions, feel free to ask. And we'll be back. All right, we are back. We have all of the rust repair done on the inside of the wheel wells. Now this isn't real important here, it's just the inside. I would never do this on the body or anything, but this repair here is just fine for what we're doing. We're just cleaning it up so our new, you know, panel will sit flush and weld in good. Kind of get a little bit of a look at it there on the top one. I still have a little bit of grinding to do. But yeah, for the most part, it's ready for the new panel. I've got this edge all cleaned up. This panel here all cleaned up. I had to weld a new piece in here where it got ripped open. But you won't see any of that. That's all, you know, undercoated inside the trunk. But I did find right here, I thought I was going to be able to save these outer wheelhouses, but turns out somebody had riveted a piece of aluminum. If you look at that, they had it done very nicely, and it was undercoated over and everything, and I didn't even find it until I started scraping the undercoating out from around it. But you can see it's gone here, and if you pull that out, it's really gone. So we're going to go ahead and order an outer wheelhouse for this, because the rest of the inner is all good and everything. So, and then when we zip the quarters off on this, we'll go ahead and just change out that outer wheelhouse while we're at it. But as for that, let's get back to this panel here. We are going to take, before we can install this, we have to use our punch tool. This is our punch flange tool. You've probably seen me use it before. It just punches a flange or a hole, either one. But on this case, we don't need to flange anything. We just need to punch a hole all the way around it to give us somewhere to weld to. So I'm just going to do a little spot here, just to give you guys an idea how this works. And all it does is punch a hole, and that little hole right there, it knocks out. That's a good tack hole. Now I'll go around and do that, this whole panel, everywhere I've got marked that I need one. And then I'll grind all this black coating off everywhere I'm going to weld. This is like a, I believe they call it EDP coating or something like that. You do not want to try to weld through this coating. It's that's no good. It's just going to make a big old mess. So grind all that crap off, and then we'll, recoat it later. That's no big deal. But let's set the tripod up, and we'll try to get this panel up in there and welded. Alright, real quick, we've got all the holes drilled and everything punched and ground, and I wanted to go over these panels that come with it real quick. These are like body mount protection pieces. I'm not real sure. There are 2 pieces in the box. This is definitely where they go, but all my material was gone above them, so I had to kind of test fit the panel multiple times to figure out how they went. But it kind of just sits right here on the inner wheelhouse, and then you can see the filled neck tube goes right through there. But don't forget to blow some weld through primer on your panel before you weld it up. But that's what we're getting ready to do right now, is throw some weld through primer on, and we will set the panel up in here and start welding it up. Alright, real quick before we're ready to put the trunk shelf panel in, I did get both of these braces tacked in. Just kind of tacked there. I didn't weld them up real good yet. I'll finish that up after I get the trunk shelf panel in, but they're in there real nice and solid. Now I'm going to set this thing up here and on the tripod, and we'll slide it in and start welding it up. Alright guys, there you have it, about 10 minutes or so. I've got this thing in there and clamped. Now I already knew exactly where I wanted it because I've test fitted it so many times. So I just put it right into my marks, clamped it down, and that's where we're at. You can see everything lines up like it's supposed to. All my panels are in the right spot. Everything comes out where it's supposed to. My trunk floor here, all that comes out exactly like it's supposed to. Up here, I'll use some lag screws and run through a couple of these holes to pull this floor pan up to the trunk shelf panel here, but I'll just run a few down through there and it should pull it up pretty good. We don't want to go hog wild because we're already on our marks here and we know everything's right and square. On this side over here, I'll put a light in here so you can kind of see. I'm gonna weld all this up, you know, like it's supposed to, and you know, this will have seam sealer in it and everything, which I'll get to that later. But I still got to go back and weld all my other stuff up that I just kind of tacked into place that I said I still needed to weld up. I'll do all that now because I got to get in here, and this panel here that was hanging that I had to cut and replace because it got boogered up, I drilled holes in it and it has to be tack welded to the trunk shelf panel in here. You can kind of see how it's made. But yeah, everything come out exactly how it's supposed to. So we're gonna go ahead and set this back up on the tripod and start welding it. All right, guys, there you have it. It's installed. I'd say it went pretty simple. It went probably a lot easier for me because I have this rotisserie. Anybody trying to tackle this job without a rotisserie, it can be done. We've done it many times in the past. I've even done complete floor pans without a rotisserie. The full thing, both sides all at once. As long as you brace stuff up, you're fine if it's pretty rotten, but most times these things are solid enough. You know, if you're saving it, it's probably solid enough that you can do what I did, not really brace a whole lot, but everything came out perfect. I went ahead and I always put tons of extra tacks on my stuff, guys. I know I don't want this stuff falling off years and years later and whatever. I'll do all the, you know, the normal welds as far as drilling holes, the tack, you know, spot welds and stuff, but I always go back and put tons of extra welds. And I'll go around and grind all this stuff up and clean it up, and then I'll you know, seam seal everything, but that's later on. This, as far as this goes, it's a pretty easy job. I mean, sometimes you have a lot more rusted than I had, but for the most part, it's self-explanatory. Everything lines up. You know, there's little line-up tab here. Everything lines up pretty good, so it's pretty easy to do. I'm going to go ahead and finish this out and weld everything up, you know, finish welding. You can kind of see where I went over some of my other welds. I like to weld inside and out of everything, make sure it's nice and solid. I'll go ahead and put some tacks in this brace here and, you know, finish all that up. But that's it for the trunk shelf panel, guys. And that'll pretty much conclude this video. Alright guys, trunk shelf panel is in. We are excited. Next is the floor pan, so make sure you follow along in the next video and watch how we tackle this floor pan, or the trunk pan, I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. If you learned anything, or even if you didn't, go ahead and smash that subscribe button, the like button, and thanks for watching, guys.